3 questions for you. Are you in the home services industry? Are you creating video content to grow your company? And have you found the sweet spot? The first 2 questions are probably pretty easy to answer, but that third one, let's talk about it. The sweet spot. Before we even talk about what the sweet spot is, let's set the stage. Most people or companies in the home services industry fall into one of 2 camps. One, they're creating just boring ass content that isn't really doing much for their company. 2, they aren't posting consistently, or maybe they've just straight up burnt out. The sweet spot is finding something in between that. You aren't posting boring crap, but you also aren't biting off more than you can chew and inevitably throwing in the towel because it's just too difficult. So I got a metaphor for y'all. Creating content, specifically the kind of stuff you have to create on a regular basis, like social media, YouTube, podcasts, all that fun stuff, has a lot of parallels with bull riding. You gotta make it 8 seconds to get scored, but if you make it 8 seconds, it's not just a pass-fail thing. You end up getting scored on how good of a ride you had. So, cowboys are looking for, first of all, a bull that they can survive for 8 seconds. If you get the meanest bull out there, you're doomed. You're never gonna make it. You're gonna get bucked and you're not even gonna get scored in the first place. But the other end of the spectrum is the bull that comes out, does a little trot dance, maybe kicks one hoof up at some point, but really doesn't put on much of a show. So then you make it 8 seconds, but you get a crappy score. So again, you're not really in the running to win. To connect this to what I was talking about earlier with the 2 different camps that people fall in. So the bull that goes and trots out there and does a little sneeze and that's about it. That's the equivalent of creating just boring content, which is usually just the easiest route. So for instance, if you're a home inspector, it's snapping a picture of a home and just throwing an inspected graphic on it. Or maybe it's outsourcing your social media to one of those social media companies that just posts stock images with really vanilla captions that don't really appeal to a single person on earth. It's just to have that presence. And then the other end of the spectrum is the bull straight from hell that no cowboy has ever survived. And that's the equivalent of every video you're posting needs to be an epic orchestration, and you've got your whole team standing up on a roof and everyone's got these lines that they've memorized, and you might be able to do a few of those, but you're gonna peter out pretty quick. And even if you don't end up tiring out from that, you're just not gonna be able to post consistently. That's gonna be way more sparse than how you need to be posting. So like, let's use this video that you're watching right this very second as an example. I mean, at the core, what I'm doing here is trying to encourage you to create more interesting content. So the simple route for doing that can be pulling out my phone and taking a picture of a camera and then throwing some text on that and saying, create good content that's not too difficult. So this picture, yes, on the positive side, that takes 30 seconds to do. Super quick and simple, but it's not gonna, no one's gonna come across and be like, oh my gosh, I need to follow this page. Or even the people that are following me, they're not gonna stop scrolling and interact with that, which means they're not gonna have a positive interaction with my brand. And there may even be some people that see that and say, damn, my feed is getting cluttered with this random crap, I'm gonna unfollow this guy. So really, at best, you're looking at just not annoying your followers. But then to take this to the other extreme of going too difficult and wild, I could have rented a mechanical bull and had that going on in the backyard, and I'm on there and I'm doing this thing like while I'm riding a mechanical bull, and that would have taken a ton of time to get all that scheduled and set up. I'd be spending quite a bit of money on getting that damn thing out here. I'd probably want to have someone else on camera to make sure I'm actually like look good if we're gonna invest all that money into it. I'm probably gonna get some other people's thoughts on my script before I go dropping all that money also. So all of a sudden you're roping in these people, you're roping in all this money, all this time, and that's the kind of thing that is like all of a sudden a big week-long orchestration, which that would actually be a sick video. And there may be a time and place for that, but that's not what I'm gonna build the foundation of my social media on. Neither of those. It's not just gonna be the overly simple pictures with a little graphic thrown on there, but it's also not gonna be pulling out the mechanical bull. You gotta find the in-between. I took that and decided, hey, let's make a video out of this, and not just a video, but let's have like a little metaphor that's a part of that video. So don't just tell them, hey, find the sweet spot, but like, let's come up with a colorful way to describe this. I mean, it's obviously not the greatest video in the world, but you're still watching it. So it seems to be doing the trick. I'm gonna quit rambling and wrap this thing up for you. Here's my challenge for you. Right after watching this video, you're gonna do this exercise for me, and it's gonna be great, and you're gonna love it. So actually do this. You're going to address this prompt. What sets you apart from your competition? Why should your clients choose you? But the point here is we wanna find the sweet spot, something that you can actually create, but it's actually gonna be worth creating also. So what I want you to do at first is come up with an idea for the absolute simplest way to do this. What's just like a picture or a quick graphic that you could share that would technically drive this point home and answer the question. And then I want you to go on the opposite end of the spectrum and just, you don't have to write out a script or anything, but come up with like the most extravagant way that you could go about addressing this prompt and sharing this with your audience. And then finally, you're gonna go right in the middle and figure out, hey, what are some of the good stuff, the really entertaining things that we can pull from this big old large production, but make it simpler, more like the original super small little idea that you had at the beginning. Where is the in-between of pulling the good out of both the simplicity and that strange attractor that's gonna pull people into the big one? Where do those meet up in the middle? So there's 3 parameters for this sweet spot piece of content that you're gonna be creating. It needs to take you no more than 30 minutes to an hour to create from start to finish. It needs to have a $5 budget tops. And finally, it needs to be a piece of content that, yes, I would stop, I would consume this content, and I would be happy that I consumed it. And I would be happy that I watched it or read it or whatever by the end. If you can fit in those 3 parameters, you have found the sweet spot and you're good to go. And now that you've identified this sweet spot for addressing this prompt, which is an important prompt to address, go out there and shoot it and post it within the next week. And if you don't do it, I'm gonna start sending you a bunch of hate mail. So if you don't wanna get a bunch of hate mail, do this exercise, shoot the video and post it within the next week, or I'm gonna be pissed. I will. I don't create videos just for y'all to watch for entertainment. This is meant to get y'all out there and doing shit, so go do some shit.